90 armed officers descend on a rural Quebec clubhouse. Inside, a 67-year-old man clutches a rifle. Outside, coups de feu echo across frozen fields. This isn't a random raid, it's the latest strike in Quebec's most dangerous power struggle since the biker wars left 160 people dead. And the Hells Angels? They're not the only targets anymore. January 11, 2025, Hérouxville, Quebec. A small municipality of 1,500 residents watches as armored vehicles roll down Rang Saint-Pierre. What unfolds next reveals how one of the world's most notorious motorcycle clubs operates in the shadows, and why police just made their boldest move in years. Main content. The raid struck at 8 p.m. on a Friday evening. When the Sûreté du Québec's tactical unit breached the Hells Angels clubhouse in Hérouxville, they found 16 men inside. These weren't casual visitors. Police identified full-patch members of the Trois-Rivières chapter, prospects working their way up the ladder, and members from support clubs who do the dirty work while keeping senior members insulated from prosecution. Among those present was Sylvain Thiffault, a 67-year-old veteran who's been tied to the organization since the early 1990s. When officers entered, Thiffalt was armed with a Remington Wingmaster rifle. For a man with his history, possessing any firearm violated multiple court orders. He was arrested on the spot and charged with weapons possession for a dangerous purpose, unauthorized possession of a firearm, and breaching prohibition orders. Thiffalt's arrest carries weight beyond the charges. He co-founded the Trois-Rivières chapter on June 24, 1991, and has survived every major police operation targeting the club. He was arrested during Operation Nordic in the 1990s, Operation Amalgame targeting the Blatinois Support Club, and Operation Char QC in 2009, the largest organized crime takedown in Canadian history. That operation arrested 156 Hells Angels associates across Quebec, effectively dismantling all 5 provincial chapters. Thiffalt received a 15-year sentence for conspiracy to commit murder, but served far less time due to pre-trial detention credits. His name appeared as the legal owner of the infamous Trois-Rivières bunker. On Boulevard Saint-Jean, destroyed by authorities in 2015. Now, 16 years after Char QC nearly obliterated the organization, Thiffalt was back in custody. But this time, the raid targeted more than weapons. Police were investigating a series of violent incidents that signal a fundamental shift in Quebec's criminal landscape. The clubhouse on Rang Saint-Pierre has been attacked 3 times in 2 years. In December 2023, gunshots and explosions rocked the property residents reported, hearing what sounded like grenades detonating near the building. The attacks repeated in September 2024, then again in early January 2025, just days before the raid. Each incident followed the same pattern: shooters targeting the clubhouse, then vanishing into the night. These weren't random acts, they were messages. According to police spokesperson Eloise Cossette, investigators spent months building their case before moving in. They deployed 90 officers from multiple specialized units: the National Organized Crime Enforcement Team, Regional Mixed Forces, Tactical Intervention Squads, intelligence officers, crime scene technicians, firearms specialists, and K-9 handlers. The operation's scale reflected its importance. Inside the clubhouse, investigators searched 2 main buildings, 3 vehicles, and multiple outbuildings. They seized a rifle, firearm ammunition, methamphetamine tablets, jewelry bearing Hells Angels insignia, clothing with the club's Death Head logo, and patched jackets identifying members and prospects. Most significantly, they found a jacket belonging to the Satan's Crew, the Hells Angels support club based in Bécancour. The Satan's Crew connection reveals how modern outlaw motorcycle clubs operate. After Operation Char QC devastated the organization, full-patch members restructured their operations to mirror Italian mafia tactics. High-ranking members now distance themselves from street-level crime using support clubs as proxies. These satellite organizations handle drug.
The first sign something was up was this charred vehicle. It was found overnight early Monday morning in a field outside the town of Frampton. Inside, according to reports, multiple assault rifles. Just hours later, police were called to a biker bunker about a kilometer away.
Trafficking, debt collection, and enforcement while paying tribute to the Mother Club. If arrests occur, support club members take the fall, protecting senior Hells Angels from prosecution. The Satan's Crew formed as an official Hells Angels support club and operates throughout the Mauricie region. Members wear their own colors but answer to Trois-Rivières chapter leadership. They're required to follow orders, provide security at Hells Angels events, and pay monthly assessments to the chapter. In return, they receive protection and the opportunity to eventually become Hells Angels prospects, the first step toward full membership. Becoming a full-patch Hells Angel requires years of dedication. The process starts with hanging around the club, performing menial tasks, and proving loyalty. After months or years, a prospect might be sponsored by a current member and granted associate status. Next comes the prospect phase, where candidates wear partial patches. Only the bottom rocker showing their territory and the MC designation. Prospects serve full members, run errands, and demonstrate absolute obedience. They have no voting rights and can be dismissed at any time. Only after unanimous chapter approval can a prospect receive his full patch. The complete insignia, including the Death Head skull, top, Hells Angels rocker, bottom rocker showing territory, and rectangular MC patch. Even then, the patches remain club property. Members ejected from the organization must surrender all insignia, and some face violent consequences for violations. This hierarchical structure explains why police found such a diverse group at the Hérouxville Clubhouse. The 16 men range from 27 to 71 years old, representing every level of the organization. Full patch members supervise prospects and support club representatives, maintaining the command structure even during routine gatherings. But the real story behind the raid goes deeper than organizational structure. It involves a conflict that's transforming Quebec's criminal underworld. The Devance War. For decades, the Hells Angels controlled drug trafficking across Quebec through a taxation system. Any independent dealers or gangs operating in the province paid 10% of their earnings to the local Hells Angels chapter for territorial rights. This redevance, or royalty system, generated massive revenue while allowing the club to maintain dominance without direct involvement in street-level sales. The system worked until 2023, when everything changed. Independent dealers and street gangs across Quebec, led by groups like the Blood Family Mafia in Quebec City and smaller crews in other regions, decided they'd had enough. They stopped paying the tax. The Hells Angels, accustomed to compliance enforced through reputation and occasional violence, suddenly faced organized resistance. The Trois-Rivières chapter found itself particularly vulnerable. According to organized crime observers, this chapter historically controlled drug distribution in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean, a lucrative territory that became a flashpoint in the conflict. When local dealers refused to pay tribute, the chapter responded. But unlike the brutal biker wars of the 1990s, modern enforcement proved complicated. Today's criminals lack the reverence older generations held for established organizations. Young traffickers, many influenced by cartel tactics from Central and South America, don't fear the Hells Angels' reputation. They employ extreme violence, kidnapping, torture, and public executions to intimidate rivals and demonstrate power. Former Montreal police detective Pietro Paletti described them as having no notion of what organized crime is, willing to create collateral damage that traditional organizations avoided. The Blood Family Mafia, operating primarily around Quebec City, exemplifies this new approach. Led by 27-year-old David Pic Turmel, currently in self-imposed exile in Lisbon, the BFM refused to pay the Hells Angels tax and backed the decision with shocking violence. Members released videos showing them torturing associates of rival groups. They kidnapped a man who tried to leave the organization, subjected him to waterboarding and beatings, burned his feet, cut off his ears, then murdered him. The victim wasn't even connected to the Hells Angels. He was simply a dealer who wanted out. This brutality forced a response. In February 2024, Quebec Provincial Police launched Operation Scandaleux, arresting over 30 people across multiple regions in coordinated raids targeting the conflict. More arrests followed throughout the year. By November 2024, police raided the Satan's Crew Clubhouse in Bécancour, deploying 80 officers and arresting Christian Jr. Bédard, 47, found in possession of a loaded 9mm handgun. During that raid, investigators seized a Hells Angels jacket hanging on the wall, body armor, knives, a loaded shotgun, and Satan's Crew clothing. Subsequent investigations revealed that multiple Satan's Crew members worked for the Abenakis Council in Wolinok, raising questions about organized crime's infiltration of indigenous governance. The Hérouxville raid on January 11th continued this enforcement trend. Police deliberately chose overwhelming force, 90 officers for 16 suspects. To send a clear message, Eloise Cosette emphasized that the Mauricie region is not immune from violence and drug trafficking related to the Devance conflict. The operation aimed to put an end to the activities of people who engage in acts of violence. 3 days after the raid, Sylvain Thiffault appeared before Judge Dominique Slater at the Shawinigan Courthouse via video conference. Despite his extensive criminal history and the serious charges, the judge granted bail under strict conditions. Thiffalt must stay away from both the Hérouxville Hells Angels Clubhouse and the Satan's Crew Clubhouse in Bécancour. He cannot possess any weapons or imitations. He must appear for all court proceedings and report any address changes. Most significantly, his release demonstrates how even veteran organized crime figures can navigate the justice system when charges focus on weapons possession rather than trafficking or violence. The raid's aftermath reveals deeper implications for organized crime enforcement. Police seized over $2,300 in cash, methamphetamine, 1 member's jacket, 4 prospect jackets, and the Satan's Crew jacket. Physical evidence of the organization's multi-tiered structure. 2 additional suspects face potential charges: a 45-year-old man for prohibited weapons possession and a 68-year-old for methamphetamine trafficking. But authorities acknowledge this represents just one battle in a larger war. The Hells Angels have survived repeated crackdowns since their Quebec expansions. In 1977, Operation Charcuterie arrested 156 people, yet the organization rebuilt. Today, 5 active chapters operate across the province: South, Longueuil, Trois-Rivières, Quebec City, Sherbrooke, and Montreal. They've adapted their structure, distanced senior members from prosecutable crimes, and continue generating revenue through the support club system. The conflict rages on multiple fronts. In Quebec City, the BFM's war with the Hells Angels has produced dozens of casualties. November 2024 saw a brief truce when Hells Angels leadership allegedly agreed to cede territory.
Terminé la tourmente à Hérouville. Comme vous pouvez le voir derrière moi, la Sûreté du Québec a saisi mercredi matin le repère des Hells Angels qui se trouve sur le rang Saint-Pierre.
C'est une bonne affaire, puis oui, c'est pas en cause. Les polices venaient souvent. Ça, là-dessus, là, il n'y avait pas de soin. Ils ont fait une très belle ouvrage. Mais là, au moins, on va avoir la paix. Rien que le fait des motos passe pas, là. Moi, c'est ça qui était le plus tannant, là. Et puis, pour ça, tout est correct.
And eliminate the 10% tax in certain areas. But by January 2025, violence resumed. On January 17th, Hells Angels member Alex Malte survived a machine gun attack near a McDonald's parking lot. Hours earlier, Antoine de Marjorie Blais, linked to Hells Angels support clubs, Full Metal MC and Reaper's MC, was murdered in front of his young son. Meanwhile, other regions experienced similar tensions. From Saguenay to the North Shore, independent dealers challenge Hells Angels authority, while police struggle to maintain order. Former criminologist Maria Morani explained that the Hells Angels actually warned authorities the situation would deteriorate without intervention, a rare instance of organized crime cooperating with law enforcement to prevent chaos that's bad for everyone's business. The Hérouxville Clubhouse itself faces an uncertain future. In April 2025, authorities obtained a blocking order preventing the property's sale or transfer. The order names Sylvain Thiffault, Pierre Ayotte, Marc-André Hinze, and property owner Steve Themmons as affected parties. They must continue paying taxes, insurance, and mortgage while the Director of Criminal and Penal Prosecutions administers the site. This legal mechanism mirrors tactics used after Operation Char QC, when Quebec seized and demolished multiple Hells Angels bunkers. The most famous, Sherbrooke's Lennoxville Clubhouse, where 5 members were murdered by their own organization in 1985, underwent years of legal battles before demolition in June 2021. Conclusion: the January 11th raid exposed more than weapons and drugs. It revealed a criminal network spanning generations, from 67-year-old veterans to young prospects, all working within a system designed to protect leadership from prosecution. Quebec now faces its most dangerous organized crime crisis since the biker wars ended in 2002. The Devance conflict has ignited violence across multiple regions, with young criminals employing cartel-style brutality that shocks even veteran investigators. For Hérouxville's 1,500 residents, the raid brought temporary relief. But 3 shooting incidents in 2 years prove the danger persists. As Sylvain Thiffault awaits his February court date, one question looms. Will this conflict end through law enforcement, negotiation, or the kind of bloodshed that killed 160 people in the 1990s? Behind every raid, every arrest, every seized death head jacket stands a criminal empire that survived for over 45 years. The clubhouse on Rang Saint-Pierre sits empty now, blocked by court order. But somewhere in the Mauricie region, full patch members are already planning their next move. If you found this investigation fascinating, hit that subscribe button for more real crime stories backed by verified sources. Drop a comment. What aspect of biker gang operations surprises you most? And check our video on Operation Char QC to see how police nearly destroyed the Hells Angels in 2009. Thanks for watching.